Good afternoon, the first official Monday of July. I cannot believe we're here already, and we're talking about family civility with an amazing guest and co-host host on Facebook Live, Miss Lotus Riche. And I just cannot wait to have this discussion today because guess what? We're talking about us ladies. It's about time. We talk about family, we talk about government and everything, but we hardly talk about us. And just I'm sharing on all my sites, and I'm asking you to share as well, so everybody can watch and take a turn to watch. So we're all shared on Family Civility Facebook page. We're shared on Interpersonal Parenting Facebook page and my page. And I just want to welcome you all. Miss Riche is a certified life coach. So ladies, get your, as she would say, get your pen and paper ready, because she's going to help us with so many things as women and mothers and wives. And, we're going to shed our roles today. And she is a certified life coach, motivational speaker, and an experienced trainer specializing in creating dynamic change and igniting others to discover their own personal best through their company, Lotus Riche Ignites. And she's here today to make us achieve our personal best. She is a New Jersey native who served in the U.S. Navy, graduating at the top of her class as an electrician. After completing her tour of duty, she became the youngest and only woman of color in the southern region to work for Kodak as a clinical engineer back in the 1990s. Amazing. In addition, she is a prior officer for the Department of Corrections in South Carolina, specializing in youth offenders and incarcerated adults, where she was part of the rapid response team and proficient in hand-to-hand combat and firearms, especially the shotgun, her weapon of choice. So be careful, gentlemen. She worked for the University of Phoenix Augusta campus as a student services coordinator, influencing young students to pursue higher education, and working as a counselor, conducting individual and family interventions and behavioral interventions for children who had experienced trauma and abuse. In 2013, because she's done so much, her main love of helping people, she actually moved to Japan while employed with the Department of Defense, supporting U.S. service members as a substance abuse counselor. While in Japan, she became an active member of a local Toastmasters club, a fellow Toastmaster, and an American Red Cross volunteer. I mean, I don't know when she sleeps. She became a certified instructor in first aid and CPR, post-deployment reconnection workshop facilitation, and suicide intervention. She's continuing to spread her message of love and lifting up people by working with Japanese nationals to feed the homeless in Yokosuka, Japan, and surrounding areas. And she's actually received an award from Yokosuka Naval Hospital in Japan for her humanitarian efforts. She was recognized in 2000 Most Notable American Woman book in 1998 and nominated for the Who's Who Registry of Distinguished Individuals in 2012. She also a recent 2020 Guinness World Book record holder and #1 international best-selling author. She has a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, an MBA in Human Resources Concentration, and is currently enrolled, because she does not sleep, in the psych program at the Southern California University. This woman is absolutely amazing. We're so happy to have her, and she is here to ignite us today, because amongst everything that I have said, she also hosts her own show, Lotus Riche Ignites. And on Saturday, she hosts, as you see below us, a joint show. She hosts a show that I'm also on, Bring Who You Are. And we're going to kind of start that today by saying what I said. So we're going to shed our roles today and bring who we are. And we're going to go even deeper. So thank you so much. Please share the show, like the show, comment, ask questions, because I have her on today. I don't know when I'm going to have her on next.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you, Dr. Harper. It is my esteemed pleasure to be here with you today. It's just always a pleasure to be in the same space virtually with you until this COVID thing is over, right? Then we can be in the physical same space. So I am humbly grateful and happy to be here. So thank you for having me on your show today.
Thank you, thank you. So let's just get right to it. I mean, we talk about family civility, and I'm gonna, we have a lot of new viewers. We have Angela from Washington. Hello, Angela. Thank you for watching and commenting from where you are. We have family civility, and the whole ground of family civility is a universal design for family. And we talk about universal design when it comes to architecture, saying, we have to have our disability ramps, and we have to have our telephones at the right height and the levels, and we do it for physical disability. Well, I said, no, we need a universal design for family, meaning all families are accepted.
Yes.
All families are treated not with equality, but equity, meaning given what they need to reach the same level as another family, as a nuclear family. And all families are respected and are civil and receives civility, no matter their gender, their sexuality, their race, their disabilities, their exceptionalities, and what I call their biologicalicities.
Yes.
Meaning you don't have to give birth to the picnic. Yes, I go into Jamaican in order to claim the child.
Yes.
Because I come from a culture where the village raises the child. I had growing up, and she was my mother just as much as, in fact, she was more my mother, because she helped to cook, to clean, she helped to everything. She was in a hospital when we were 1 month old. So why should we disregard that person because she didn't give birth to me?
I concur. I
know you are a mother to so many. Tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, you are 100% right. I've helped to raise other children who are not my biological children. I've also helped to raise my nieces and nephews, and I love them. Super proud of all of them. They're all great spiritual beings having this human experience. And I really must say that it does my heart good to hear you talk about family civility and what it means, equality across the barriers of gender and what our individual family makeups are, because a family is so important. And a lot of folks, especially folks who are adopted, oftentimes they struggle because they feel like, okay, well, why did my family leave me? Or if they get over the struggle, then they say, okay, but this is my family. And you know what? It is their family. A family is not dictated just by flesh and blood, but they're also dictated by the love that we have in our hearts and our spirits for those who we call family. So I'm happy that you said that.
You feel bad that you come from a single mother home.
Say again?
I mean, you should not be a child should not feel bad that they have a single mother. We have, there are statistics.
Yes.
Young men who have fathers who are not in the picture, and we beat up the fathers and all of this type of thing. But we have to let them feel, you know what? Find the people that love you. Find those who love you. If you don't have a father, then the mother says, you know what? I need to find a caring male adult that is a role model.
Yes.
And you said it. You were a caring female adult that became a role model for so many kids. So why should they feel bad? My children, I'm a single mom, and they can name their Uncle Andrew, they can name their Uncle Sean, they can name their Uncle Howard, they may Uncle this, Uncle that. They have scouts, they have they have so many, because I've created an environment that I say, you have your role models.
Exactly.
You feel bad.
And I love that, because this is the thing that when we share this concept, it helps really unite people across every border, whether it's sexuality, whether it's origin, whether it's age, generation. We break down the barriers of family as well as
Mhm.
family civility, when we really start to understand we are
Mhm.
not a family because of our quote unquote race. We are a family because we belong to one whole race, the human race.
Exactly. And look at what's happening now. Our Bring Who You Are family is
Yes.
reeling in, man. I mean,
Yes.
Dr. Kim,
I
we
see the
have
ladies.
Karen, KJ Johnson. I mean,
Yes.
to me, we've formed a family.
Yes.
You have
Of
formed a
course.
family of women that it's now a sisterhood that we are there.
Yes.
And this is it. This is what family civility is about.
Yes.
So, saying that, let us now tackle what exists now and let's
Yes.
call it out.
Yes. I love it. So
What exists now?
with calling it out, even with the women of Bring Who You Are, and I'm super happy to see everyone there. How you doing? We're super happy to have you on board with us today. And of course, you know that we are talking about in our first series from Bring Who You Are, we're talking about domestication. And I love it. And it was so profound that Yamaja talked about domestication, and she gave us the 12 or 13 levels of domestication. And for those of you that are not really privy to what domestication is, we're going to break it down to you, and we're going to keep it sweet and short. So many times you hear a person say domestication. No, we're not talking about domestication of animals. No, we're not talking about that. Okay. We're talking about the domestication of people, primarily starting from the women's perspective. So we want to touch on that today about domestication. If you are not sure what domestication is, well, guess what? You came to the right place today. We're going to be talking about domestication as far as women are concerned and domestication in womanhood. Now, domestication oftentimes is looked upon as how do we relate as who we are, okay? So, domestication in women, I want to tackle that today. Domestication in women is oftentimes subscribed to us from the society that we're in. We are classified as women, and they pair us with jobs that are identified as jobs that women do in the household. And Dr. Harper and I were talking about this before the broadcast, and she and I, we were chit chatting about, so many women are pushed into this domestication. And of course, the domestication, we have several levels. We have domestication of religion, we have domestication of sexuality, if you will. We have domestication in the church. We have domestication in our finances. We have domestication in so many realms of our lives. But today, we're talking about the domestication of women and domestication of womanhood. And I tell you this, if you have not brought your pen and you have not brought your pad, it's time to get your pen and pad, because note takers are money makers, because we're going to be giving you some nuggets. And I know a lot of people out there didn't know what domestication was. Okay. A lot of us didn't know what it was or what it meant, but it is a way that we are forced into being in a little box, whether it's in our womanhood, whether it's in our finances, our spirituality, how we practice religion. Okay.
Our family.
Our family. Yes. And I love that.
Education.
Yes. And this is the thing, folks. We want to help you break out of the box of domestication,
Yep.
because in domestication, you have to subscribe to what people think of you as a woman or a mother. So let's quickly touch on the roles that we have to play when it comes to being a woman. Now, Dr. Harper and I, we talked about the fact that in our lives as women, when we are pushed
Mhm.
into domestication, we are said, well, women, you can't work in these non traditional roles. and we touched on this earlier. What is a non-traditional role for a woman, and why do they exist? So, Doc, I want to kind of defer that to you, and then
Yeah.
I want to chit chat about some numbers in a couple of different roles that
So
women
yeah,
are supposedly not
exactly.
supposed to be a part of.
And what has happened is even now men are domesticated into these
Yes.
non-traditional roles because, and it creates a lot of barriers for men. So now they're almost being hit by their own
Creation.
creation. So
Yes.
what it is gender roles are
Mhm.
those who are stereotype more nurturing roles. So for
Yes.
example, a doctor will be a male, predominantly male role,
Yes.
whereas a nurse is a predominantly female role. Well, what pays more? We all know a doctor earns more than a nurse. But ironically,
Yes.
a nurse works harder than a doctor.
Yes.
So, and then so what is happening now that the men are going into nursing and men are
Mhm.
going into social work and social services work and counseling, which is all these nurturing roles.
Yes.
And they're now saying, hold on, why are these roles not being paid? Because that's how it started. It started with, you know what, let's not look at
Mhm.
paying women less.
Mhm.
They were paying industries less. And
Right.
industries were being defined by who goes into them. When
Yes.
women started leaving the nurturing roles and the gender roles and the gender, I call them gender industries,
Yes.
um, then that's when women were like, oh, we're not being paid the same, even though. So now it became blame, but they couldn't hide behind the industry. They now
Yes.
really could not, they wanted to pay women on the basis that, oh, we have children, we're going to take time off, we're going to do this, we get
Yes.
pregnant. Every
Yes.
excuse under the sun. Like men
Mhm.
don't ever take time off because they're too busy at the bar. But or have a hangover, they don't get sick. But anyway, it's, let's be honest, we all get
So,
sick.
let
And
me.
that is where the
Mhm.
gender, so then what happened, which
Mhm.
now brought more
Mhm.
awareness to the pay scale,
Mhm.
was when, so women brought the awareness to the pay scale when they started moving out of their industries and going into male dominated industries.
Yes.
It now became not a gender industry but a male dominated and female dominated.
Exactly. So let me share this, if I may, because we're not just spitting this out. When we come with our statistics because,
Mhm.
and they're reliable and valid. So I really want to share this with you. Doc and I talked about this earlier. The United States Department of Labor
Yeah.
put these statistical data out in regard to the non-traditional careers for women. And like Dr. Harper said earlier, if you look at physicians and nurses, most of the physicians make more because many, many years ago, a
Mhm.
physician was not considered a woman. It was okay for a woman to be a midwife, but she could not be a doctor. It's similar to the suffrage movement when we were not
Yeah.
allowed to vote. And I say we, and I mean women, because remember, people of color were not even allowed to vote for quite some time after. But let's look at the non-traditional careers that Dr. Harper talked about earlier. Now, physicians and surgeons, 36.7% of them are women.
Mhm.
Okay. Computer programmers. And now look at all these computers that we've
Yeah.
got all over the world. Computer programmers, 21.4%. Firefighters, 5.7%. Chefs and head cooks, 21.4%. Let's talk about steel mill workers. Okay. A lot of people say steel mill workers, Lotus, that's a man's job. My mother worked in a factory for many, many years, and
Yeah.
she was married to my dad for over 30 years, but that's how she helped to support her family.
And remember, it was necessity that these women started going into these roles because the men went to war.
Exactly right. And I'm
So
happy you touched on that because
and
many women were brought into serving in the war in a non-traditional way. But I was an electrician. in the military. And do you know, if you look at statistical data, it says that electricians are non-traditional vocations for women. Well, I tell you what,
Yeah.
this is such an unbalance. Even when I was in the military, it was an unbalance because how the billets were filled, predominantly they would fill those type of billets with men. Even in the
Mhm.
correctional facility, I think you shared that I worked in corrections for a number of years. Even in corrections, I went up for a sergeant position. I made the sergeant position. I did way better than the guy that I went, we both took the test. He didn't make it. I made it. But do you know, they had the audacity to say to me, well, Lotus, we need another guy, uh, uh, sergeant now. So we're going to have to give the position to him. But I had already played myself in such a position where I had applied for another position, which was a supervisory position. So I was coming
Yeah.
out of uniform anyway. So there was no need to go after that. But this is the thing that we want to tell you about domestication. We have
Yeah.
got to come outside of the narrow thinking of domestication. And I love, Dr. Harper, that you brought up men also fall victim to domestication because we
Well, yeah.
don't want to leave our male counterparts out. So, with that being said, I want to say to all of our young ladies out there, to all of the little girls, you can be, have, and do anything you want to do. You can step outside of the box of domestication, just like our little boys and our young men out there. You can
Yeah.
step out of the box of domestication. I implore you to reach for the stars and
Yeah.
don't give up until you're hanging in the heavens.
I love it. I love, it's so funny because I was speaking about you this weekend, and my sister-in-law, and she loves you, by the way.
Thank you.
And she says how inspiring you are. And, we come from very traditional cultures that
Yes.
still exist, as you are aware. And, I'll bring it to, I mean, I adore my father, God bless his soul, you know, but he always taught me, I am the neck and the man is the head of the house. And the neck, and he goes, but the neck turns the head. Now, I got these mixed messages from him because
Yes.
he also admired my brain. He also admired my creativity and said I can achieve whatever I want to achieve, however, within reason. Once I
Right.
became a mother now,
Hmm.
everything changed
Yes. Yes.
because I now had to be that traditional role of a mother
Yes.
where I need to now take care of the kids. I need to support my husband. I have to make sure that and this is why I love this role.
Yes.
And we have to race against the machine of men. And I love this because it's so true.
Hmm.
Right? We have this race or this graphic of um, this corporate race or say the industry race. But these men, when you look at it, they don't have to go home so they're saying, yeah, women can work with us. It's not an issue. But when I come home, hold on, I still have to cook. I still have to clean. I still have to do the laundry. I have to make sure the kids do the schoolwork. And we have this second shift
Yes.
that men don't have,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
As much as they want to. Now, I'm not saying this is a majority, but ironically, single parent homes are now becoming majority than double nuclear parent homes. So men are now feeling it because we do have a lot of single fathers out there, and I respect them completely, right? But this is a reality that we face. Again, it's everything we're talking about. The men are now facing it because they are now having to deal with the second shift as a single parent. They're
Yes.
now going into nurturing roles, so everything we're saying is now hitting men. But thank goodness it started hitting men because I don't think it would have changed.
Well, I want to share this with you too, because typically I like to start out by telling people also the dictionary description of what we're talking about. So
Mhm.
let's look at Webster's dictionary, like their concept of what domestication is. So according to Webster, okay, domestication is a process of making someone fond of and good at home. It says of and not of a good at home life and the task that it involves. So it's kind of like a brainwashing, if you will.
Yeah.
So this is what you should do. This is how you should be. Now, this is another wonderful thing that I found as far as the description. And this is very powerful because it says that domestication is a sustained, something that's continual. It's a multi generational relationship in which one group, okay, or organisms assumes
Mhm.
a significant degree of influence
Yep.
over the reproduction, okay, and care of another group to secure a more predictable supply of resources from that second group. And this is where you see real heavy domestication, especially in a lot of other countries. In some
Yeah.
countries, in order for you to get your a tubal ligation, you have to defer to your husband, and
Oh,
he or your male partner has to give a written letter saying that, yeah, she can have that tubal ligation.
it's an actual form.
Yes, yes,
It's not even a letter.
yes,
It's a form to fill out.
yes,
Say, and it is for marriage. It is once you're married, a woman cannot do it unless the husband approves it. I mean, but this is the thing. I mean, I remember getting married, and I got married in an Anglican church, and the father said, we're doing the vows.
mhm,
My vows said I obey.
yes,
Vows didn't say that. And you're touching on it. Marriage is the huge, there are a lot of men that say, oh, the woman is a ball and chain, and oh, you're never going to be with another woman and with the rest of your life. And you hear all the men complaining about marriage.
yes,
But marriage it is literally the fence and the gate with the lock on it to put the woman in domestication. As I
yep,
love animals, so I'm always going to refer to animals, but that's what it is. And it's not even that; it's the rope around your neck that keeps you in position.
yep,
And all women have been doing is fighting back,
yes, and
saying,
that,
"I can't live like
mhm,
this."
yes, and that, doc, is called the domestication syndrome. It is a syndrome because people take on these collective characteristics of
Mhm.
domestication, and they kind of inbreed it, okay? And according to what I've read about domestication, it says that the traits are associated with genetic change. Isn't that
Mhm.
interesting?
Because it's generational.
Exactly.
It
And
is
so
generational, and our genes, our memory, are our biggest memory.
exactly. And
So
that's where I'm going with that. It's the record that I always talk about. That record that's playing over and over in our minds and in our hearts and in our souls, and we succumb to that same record. Anybody out there know what an LP or a 45 is? You ever had a record player out there and you put the needle on it and you hear it go
yeah,
crack, 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 crack?
yeah,
Well, it's the cracks in our thought process that is the stopping point that's
yeah.
telling us, hey, wait a minute. Do you hear that? That don't sound good. Do you feel that? That can't feel
Mhm.
good. But a lot of times we are too afraid to take the needle off the record and play another record or make our
Until,
own music
until we crack,
until,
until we crack, and
until
that's the
we
problem.
crack.
We wait until, and this is the problem that we have is,
Mhm.
and this is where, and I hate to say it again, domestic violence.
Yes,
One of the causes is domestication, because
yes,
what is domestic violence? It is when it's a power struggle.
exactly.
You know, when a woman is enough, I cannot deal with this any longer. I need my power. I need my freedom. I want the same as you. And then domestic violence, abuse starts. It
Yes,
starts with verbal. Oh, you're incapable of doing that. You never pay attention to anything. You never do anything right. Then it goes to emotional. Well, I'm not going to, the woman will go to a movie, or the woman will do this.
yep,
And then when they get home, there's no beating or there's no shouting, just ignoring. Worse yet, sexual abuse, which is even the worst. There's, as I'm in the same laws, there are countries that still have the law
Yep.
that you cannot say no to your husband. There's no such thing
Exactly.
as rape in a marriage. And worse yet, if they don't like what you're doing, they can withhold it, because remember, sexuality is also domesticated, where women aren't supposed to want it as much. They're not supposed to have the
Exactly.
drive that women have. And
Exactly.
we're the ones who get pregnant. Of course, we're going to have a high sex drive. We're the ones who have to reproduce.
Of
God
course.
has
Of
made us
course.
to reproduce. You know, we have one egg,
Exactly.
we have thousands. We have more, we have to have more chances. But when you look at the biology, seriously. But it goes back to all of these things. Is that when
Yes.
you look at domestication, women have been doing this, are the most domesticated, and it's cross race.
And let's talk.
Because it's colonization
Right.
decided, because indigenous people, women were just as respected. They never had this as women. And then when
Exactly.
colonization came into play, the British and the French and European men started treating the indigenous women the way they treated their own women.
Yes. Yes. And
And
I
this
want
is
to tell you this too. And I'm very happy that you brought this up too when we talk about domestic violence, because there's an article, the American Journal of Emergency Medicine did an article, and what they did, they took the statistical data that they had from March 2019 to March 2020, and the sheriff's office reported that there was a 27% increase in domestic violence calls during March 2020 compared to March 2019. Okay? And this is the thing that we see, and this is pervasive. Even in New York, the domestic violence calls rose by 10%. And now some people may say 10%, that's not much, but 1% is a percentage that is too much. And if you look at Jefferson, Alabama, the statistics show that it was about 25 to 28% rise in domestic violence calls. Portland, Oregon, rise in domestic violence calls a little above 20%. San Antonio, Texas, like I said, above 15%. So, we've got these things that are happening, and as you said, it does stem from domestication. And again, folks, we are not just looking at domestication and domestic violence from women. We're also looking, because this is happening to a lot of our male counterparts. Now, I wanted to share this, if I may, with
just to
everyone
let
that
you
is
know,
looking on.
because Karen did mention, you did mention through the pandemic.
Yes,
Why and people are saying it's happening. Why? Because, again, so many people, the dominant member of the partnership,
yes,
have lost all their power.
yes,
So they then have to reclaim the power, or trauma trigger. There's a lot of triggers going on, and we're not dealing domestic violence. Again, you're supposed to listen to me. Why aren't you cleaning the house
yes,
properly? Why aren't you doing this? You're doing nothing. Is this what you do all day? It starts like
yes,
that. And then again, the frustration. And then once the woman or the man, it happens both sides,
yes,
speaking up, that's when the hitting starts. And
exactly.
going back to it, we're all on the SDGs, we're all on sustainable development goals. Well,
Yes,
how can we create inequality, equal rights and opportunities? How can we create good education, no poverty, if we are violent in our home?
yes, yes.
The
And see,
peace.
it's a trickle down effect. What we are in our home trickles down to every facet of our lives, no matter where we are. And this is one thing that I feel is pervasive, and it's unequivocal, and it's out in the open if we are walking with our eyes wide open, not wide shut.
Mhm.
Is that what is really transpiring in the home? You see it play out if you look at your coworkers, if you look at your church members, if you look at your team members, whether you're on a football team, a basketball team, a cheerleading team, a whatever team, a rugby team, it all plays out. So we've really got to do what Pamela Ling Hoon said. She said that, you know what, it starts within the home. So
Yeah.
we have to really get involved in the home, because what's happening, Dr. Harper, is that we are, if you will, we're molding. We're molding our children with these same behaviors. And this is why it's generational, because it's going from one generation to the next. And then what happens is we become these grown adults, and then it's trickling over into our love lives. It's trickling over even into our work lives. And I want to share this with you from a movie that I saw called Hidden Figures. Because, see, this is showing it plain Jane. What if
Mm-hmm.
you, all of our viewers out there, what if you were on a job and you could not be uh, a engineer or even a minister or anything like that because domestication has kept you from it, but you had the opportunity? What would you say? So we want to
I'm,
play this for you.
oh, hold on. Hold on. Let me do it. I'm gonna make it fuller. There we go.
Mhm. Okay. All right, here we go.
Let me ask you, if you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer?
I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
So that's the thing. Already
If
be
you
one.
Exactly. If you were a white male, would you want to be one? The fact that he asked that, by the way, was
Mhm.
unbelievable. You know what I mean? Because again, it goes back, and I'm going to go back to even the privilege.
Yes.
Privilege is a seesaw.
Yes.
One has to be down to be up, and the only way privilege will stop is if we come off the seesaw. And this is what privilege is a perfect example. Oh, if you're
Mhm.
a white male, would you want, uh,
Mhm.
yeah, because I
Mhm.
would be one already. I wouldn't have to want to be one. I would be one.
Exactly.
This, and that's where we have, and this is what's happening now, is that a lot of people have to be able to go through the uncomfortable conversations to
Yes.
say, I have
Yes.
privilege.
Yes. And this is the thing too. We really have to stand up for ourselves instead of going day in and day out and day in and day out, just taking it. We have to stand up for ourselves. So I'm going to share this other little clip with you right now where you've got to stand up for yourself. Change does not happen just because you want it to. Change happens because you create change.
There is no bathroom. There are no colored bathrooms in this building or any building outside the West Campus, which is half a mile away. Did you know that? I have to walk to Timbuktu just to relieve myself. And I can't use one of the handy bikes. Picture that, Mr. Harrison. My uniform, skirt below my knees, my heels, and a simple string of pearls. Well, I don't own pearls. Lord knows you don't pay colors enough to afford pearls. And I work like a dog day and night, living off of coffee from a pot none of you want to touch. So, excuse me if I have to go to the restroom a few times a day.
So powerful. So
Yes.
powerful.
And that
And it
has
goes,
to happen across, it has to be pervasive. Men have to stand up, Women have to stand up. People have to stand up, because every life matters. It doesn't matter who you are, what your sexual orientation is, what your sexual identification is,
Mm-hmm.
what color you are, how tall, how short, how smart, how achieving, you know,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you are, you have to stand up.
And you see, what I found amazing is that the next thing was our mental health.
Yes.
You know, is not being addressed because it's been able for years and need to deal with it in our heart and minds. And that is the thing. And you've heard me say it on Bring Who You Are.
Yes.
I find women who are in an abusive relationship, or in an, you know, you hear from the outsider say, oh, they're so weak, why don't they leave? Well, I'm going to
Yes.
say it. If you are in an abusive relationship and you can get up every morning
You
knowing
strong.
what you are going to face, and you still get up every morning,
Yes.
you are strong.
Yes. You are strong, because it takes strength to deal with that.
Yeah.
It takes confidence. Someone said earlier, it takes confidence. I think Dr. Sims may have said that it takes confidence. But even with that confidence, I challenge you, if
Mhm.
you are in a position where you're governing people, lead with civility. I always say lead with love, but always lead with civility. If you are in a position where someone is pressing you down, stand up in your civility, stand up in your courage, be the lion and roar. Don't be the little cub that has to cry. Now, you may cry for a while, but at some juncture, you've got to stand up inside yourself and say, no more.
And crying is not a bad thing, because I'm a
No,
crier.
it's not. I'm a
It's a
crier
release.
too.
Listen, everybody asks,
Yes,
you go back home and you say, one thing about Rebecca, she's the strongest woman I know. And
because
I
she
go,
cries.
cry. And I
That's right.
release the tension. Like crying is releasing a weight.
Yes. You know,
I talk about strength. A
yes,
weightlifter can hold a dumbbell for
yes,
so long and have to
yes.
drop.
You know, Doc, I tell people, crying, it's, you know, a lot of people say that men are not supposed to cry, and what I coach people and I tell them is, it takes a very strong person to be able to be vulnerable enough to cry. I remember many years ago, I prided myself, no, I'm not crying in front of nobody, blah 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 blah, but it was when I was able to purge that
Yeah,
hurt, that pain, whatever it was, that's
yeah.
when my real strength shone through. And I tell
Mhm.
people this, I just break it down to the bare minimum. If God didn't want us to cry, God wouldn't have given us tear ducts. I don't think they'd be
Let
there.
me tell you, my father was a crier. My uncle is a crier. I came from a family of men who cry, and they were very strong men, right? And my dad, and that's how I learned it was okay to do it. I mean, but then
Exactly.
I got into a marriage where I was told never to cry, because
Hmm.
it was. And then after I realized, oh, because you don't like me to sit, you don't like to see me cry. Because, I mean, that's a whole different show. When we talk,
Yes.
we always talk about how bad abusers are, but it comes from some. I'm a woman that I love to dig deeper. If a child is
Yes.
misbehaving, I dig deeper. In every
Yes.
show, parenting show I have, I say dig deeper. And this is where that's a whole different show and being a trauma specialist, that again is a whole different show for us to do, because
Yes.
it's when we're hurting or we cry and they tell us to stop crying, it's because they don't want to feel bad about themselves.
I
And,
concur. And,
right.
and and also, Doc, I think because they feel uncomfortable with that
Correct.
human side of their spiritual being,
Correct.
having that human experience, they
Yeah.
feel a little uncomfortable in their
Because they
own
don't
skin.
want to be
And it's
human.
not right. It's not about you
Yeah.
when they say,
It's
"Oh,
about,
you shouldn't cry. You better not cry." It's really about them. What fears
correct.
are you not facing? Or maybe because they've been so conditioned
And let me,
and they're stuck in that place.
correct.
But I'd like to say this really
Are
quick
you ready
because,
for the conditioning though? I want to nip in on the conditioning.
okay,
How
can I
many
share this
children
right
have
quick though?
heard? Do you want me to give you something to cry for?
You sharing the same thing, yes. Or be quiet before I give you something to cry for. That's right.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, wait, you giving me something to cry for? If you stop what you're doing, I stop crying, right?
I
I
said,
I
"Let's
like
do that."
what Dr. Cecilia Sims said. She talked about the fact that it takes a strong man to
Yeah,
cry. And she put a comment in
yeah,
earlier that I really wanted to touch on because it's so true. It
yeah.
doesn't take a weak person to cry. It takes a very strong person because in that moment of vulnerability, they are
Mm,
standing in one of the best places because that is oftentimes when we are most open to the creator, for the creator to make the moves in our lives that we may have otherwise negated because we were too busy succumbing to the stereotypes of domestication.
exactly. It gets to the point where we say enough is enough. So now let us go to some solutions. I need you
Yes.
to know I'm going to hide this. We're going into two people mode.
Yes.
I want you to help ignite women that are watching today and men, but really the mothers, because, one of my sayings about being a mother is we have to have, and I say we, whether you're a mother biologically or a mother non-bio, your biologicality. Yes, I've invented the word.
Yes.
Your biologicality does not matter here, right? I have a sister who has parented my children, and she doesn't have children, but I'm very grateful for what she has done, right? So we can go that whole role,
Yes.
but our cup needs to be full with nutritional liquids.
Yes.
Our soul needs to be full in order to have our children drink from our cup.
Yes.
And when we are empty, whether it be because of violence, abuse, domestication, frustration, demeaning jobs, dangerous, being demeaned in the sense of having a job that you're not, you're worth so much more in a gender role, that kind of thing. How do we, and what I want you to now ignite and fill that cup? What can you tell our mothers, our daughters, and again, we have to shed the roles. Well, how can we tell our women out there who are the core of a family, especially the single moms, who are not only the core but the main parent of the family? How can you ignite us again so that we can ignite the children?
In a book by Adrienne Rich, she wrote a chapter called "Of Woman Born." Her book was called "The Domestication of Motherhood," and she talked and she said much motherhood is about cooking and cleaning and making sure the children do their homework and ferrying the children to their classes and ensuring that their quality of life is satisfactory overall. She said, but it's hard. It's hard work. And somewhere between this mothers and motherhood, we're expected to experience the joy of motherhood while suffering from exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is this: are you exhausted yet? Are you exhausted yet? Have you exhausted the concept of domestication so you can rise to who you really are supposed to be? Because you're more than a mother. And I don't want to say just, because a mother is so powerful.
One
We
role.
set the stage, right? It's a separate role from all the other roles that we play as women. Like
Mm-hmm.
Pamela said, in the home, the mother often sets the stage for how we will emerge and go out into the world. So, what I would share with my mothers, those of you that are biologically a mother, those of you that are spiritually a mother, those of you that are heartly a mother,
Mm-hmm.
because your heart extends to so many, because you've become a mother figure to so many.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this to you today. First of all, there is no greater thing than when we can pour out of our own cup into another cup so that it overflows with joy, love, gratefulness, harmony, peace, and love. So I would say to you, first love yourself more than anyone else. Love the I am inside of you. That I am inside of you is God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Jehovah Rapha, the
Mhm.
King of Kings, okay? The Queen of Queens. You get it? Because we're made in the like image of God, which,
Mhm.
in my opinion, how can you create a woman if you're not woman and man?
Yep.
So accept the I am that you are, because
Mhm.
you are from God, you are a part of God, you are that spiritual being having a human experience. So if you always lead with that mindset, the concept of domestication will
Yeah.
never take you over.
But
Why?
what we have to
Because
do is stop loving the roles that we are
exactly,
and
exactly.
start loving
Because
who we are.
right. When we see ourselves as spiritual beings having a human experience, we
Mhm.
come out of the mindset of domestication. We come out of the mindset of roles. We come out of the mindset of all the man made and woman made criterias that we have to fit into these boxes. Step
Mhm.
outside of your box. It's okay to step outside of your box.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, you know what? Enough. I see myself as this spiritual being having this human experience, and I can do, be, and have anything I want. And
Yep.
that's what I would challenge each and every one of you to do. And if for some reason you don't have a mentor, a role model,
Find one.
see, these shows like this is where you need to come. Keep visiting Dr. Rebecca Harper on her shows. Visit my show on
Yeah.
Lotus Ignites, where we are doing Bring Who You Are. Because guess what? When you bring who you are, you're bringing more than enough.
We're shedding the roles. We are shedding your roles. And I'm going to say it again. Stop loving the roles you play
And
in
love
life
yourself.
and love who you are. And this is a little homework we're going to give you. When you say I am, and I used to do it, I'm Rebecca Harper, I'm a mother. That's the first
Yes.
thing I said. And I don't do that. I'm creative, I'm beautiful, I'm
Yes.
authentic, I'm unique. And I love to speak. I
Yes.
and I'm driving on the road yesterday, and I'm just in silence, and I said, I love to empower people.
Yes.
I love to pass on the power that I have learned and I have,
Yes.
and that strength that I have onto others.
Yes. Yes.
Nowhere I do not say I'm even a woman anymore. I
Yes.
say I'm not a mother, I'm not a daughter, I'm not a sister, I'm not a social work. You can see it on my resume.
Yes. Yes.
On a piece of paper that I hand out when I need
Yes.
to. But when you're with me,
Yes.
that is who I am. And this is what Lotus, your show is phenomenal. You ignite every day, you empower every day. And this is why Bring Who You Are. Oh my gosh, we won't even go with the rest of the other women who are
Yes.
here supporting us. Again, the
Yes.
sisterhood. It's Janelle came late, but she is another sister part of the group.
Yes.
We have our own eight. We have our G8 conference. We don't have the G7 summit. We have the G8 summit,
Yes.
and it's all about bringing who we are and
Exactly.
setting those roles,
Yep.
and
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 I
that's how it goes.
yeah, and I challenge each and every one of you. This mirror I keep on one of my desks here in the office, and every time I get ready to do a show, or if I'm just sitting in here, I do my mirror work, and I challenge each and every one of you, do your mirror work, because this is one of the ways that I train people on how to reconstruct their mindset. Look in this mirror. Look into your beautiful eyes. Look
Mm,
into the eyes that know you better than any other being on the planet, and tell yourself, I love you. I
yep.
love you, Lotus. I really, really love you, or whatever your name is. Make sure you say it to yourself. I love you.
Yeah.
Because when you can start from that premise and really love yourself, it kind of helps you to do exactly what KJ said. Blow the box up, step out of the box, and I say,
Mhm.
shake it off and move into your purpose. But in order to do it, you got to start with, like
You,
Michael Jackson said, the person in the mirror.
you have hit the nail on the head. And please, please get your mirror tonight and do that. You know, write down after you're done looking deeply into that mirror. Write down, and I don't want to see a roll on that piece of paper. I want to see what you have in you that God is, because God has given us a purpose in life.
Yes.
And when we find that purpose is when we are fulfilled. And as a parent, I do that for my children. I am on that journey with them to give them the opportunities to succeed, but the opportunities to find their purpose.
Yes.
And this is where not define their purpose,
Mhm.
but to find their purpose.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
Right? And that's the difference between domestication and authenticity. Is that domestication, we define their purpose. Oh, you're a great speaker, you need to be a politician. Oh, you're good at cooking, you need to bake. Oh, you're good at this, you need to be this.
Yeah.
No, you can say, all right, these are your multiple intelligences. These are what you are, an empath. These are, look at all the roles you can play. My son,
Yes.
he's like me. Mom, I want to do a YouTube channel. Well, I took a deep breath and went, okay. But I have to. How can I tell him no when was told it's taken me 45 years. I just celebrated my 45th birthday on
Yes.
Friday to achieve my purpose because I finally got the freedom to do it.
Yes.
But why should we allow us to wait till our God has given us the freedom? Sometimes he slaps us in the face and say, get out.
Yes.
Right? And that's what we have. And thank you. I knew you were going to ignite so many women today. I knew we are men, because the same goes for the men.
Yes. And we have Live with Larry on, and he made some very powerful points. He talked about the fact that when he cries, it helps to release him. It frees him basically. And that is super, super powerful, coming from a man that has a family and that understands how to deal with children and how to deal with his spouse, but all at the same time, how to deal with himself. Because this is what I tell people: if you don't deal with yourself and you don't deal with life, life is going to deal with you. So in order to do that, you really have to go deep. And someone said that earlier. I think Dr. Sims said this is where we go really deep within ourselves. And we have to do it every day. And again, folks, this is why this powerful unity of women, Bring Who You Are, is so vital. That's why shows like Family Civility is so vital. And I just want to, if I may, give a shout out to the ladies from Bring Who You Are,
Oh yes.
if that's okay.
Hold on. Let's put it up. Let me
Yes.
solo.
Okay.
Who You Are, women.
Yes. So we have the remarkable judge, Kimberly Best. She's taking it from the seat to the streets. We've got the remarkable Pamela Luhing, Dr. Cecilia Sims. She's amazing, just like Pamela and Judge Best. And Karen KJ Johnson, she's phenomenal. If you don't know her, come to the show. Check out all the ladies, because every lady's got something powerful to give. And Jemijah Jubilee, make sure you check her out. Jemijah opened up our first show of the series with a powerful poem. So if you want that poem, you need to come get it. KJ's got one for you. Dr. Rebecca Harper, as you see, she's also one of the phenomenal ladies here that we are gathering to empower and and just enhance so that you can ignite and take flight. And of course, the amazing Janelle Harris is also one of the ladies on
Oh, I
Bring
love her
Who You
work.
Are.
I love her work. But all the ladies are amazing.
Yes,
And you can watch our show that the flyer was on. We are I'm
yes,
gonna yes, Karen. I love her. Watch her, watch
yes.
her.
I love Karen. She's on point.
Karen, thank you,
Karen,
Karen. I can just put it up. Yes, it's Saturday
yes,
at 1 o'clock, and then right after the show,
yes,
we're doing our all the Caribbean people in the house.
yes, yes,
For
man.
those who want to work in the Caribbean, we are actually right after the show. Come to my Facebook page, and we
Yes,
are going to have a whirlwind of also a lot of speakers regarding sustainable development goals in the Eastern
yes,
Caribbean and in the Caribbean, because the
yes,
summit is September 23rd and 24th.
yes.
You are right. There was a 25th networking day, but
Right.
they're still debating on it, and there might
Okay.
be an opportunity where networking will actually happen with first world, like developed countries, US, Canada, and stuff can actually make connections.
Yes.
And it's a virtual thing where summit and a movement, but again, we have to bring in the peace. We
Yes.
have to bring in the family, and this is all about how to create families, to empower families
Yes.
to achieve their sustainable development. Because if we can't do it for the family, it will not happen outward. We have to
That's
go
right.
back to the core, and that's why we had the show today. We went to the
Yes.
core of the woman. The woman is the one who, even if you didn't give birth to the child,
Yes.
God gave us this gift. There's no denying it, And
Exactly.
something we never brought up, but I will touch on it very, very quickly. You know, women, single mothers of boys, we tend to overpower our boys with violence,
Yes.
and we have to stop doing that. We abuse because that's how we feel we can overpower our boys, especially in the teen years when they're like, you want to just, why do you think my hair is colored? And at the end of the day, but I rather color my hair than overpower them with violence, which is,
Yes.
and that's the thing. We cannot be the father, and we cannot be, but what we can do, as my amazing co-host on Thursday say, find a caring adult that complements you.
Yes.
And trust me, Caribbean women, tough, we're strong, and we love to overpower.
Yeah, I mean, no, it got them thing going on. Miss
But
Bam
we have to
Patois too.
control it. We do have to control it. That's why
Yes.
we always say that it's not just women being abused. There are a lot of men out there, but they, again,
Yes.
due to gender roles and culture and
Yes.
domestication,
Yes.
they can't say anything.
Yes. And I will tell you this as well, because a lot of times we show the violence toward the men. I think we need to really think about this thing too. And this may be a topic for another time, but
Oh yeah.
do you realize that you are showing your boy child how to treat women?
Mm-hmm. Oh
If
yeah.
you're approaching him in a violent manner,
Yep.
he's going to perpetuate that violence.
Yes. And it starts with the family civility. Your family is your primary group that teaches you all your biases.
Yes.
Then you go to school, which is your secondary group that reinforces the biases. Let us be honest, we keep trying to fix the school systems and the friends and this and that, when the biases all, so okay, we're not reinforcing it, but that doesn't mean the biases aren't being created initially.
Exactly.
We
And the
have
biases are
the
continued to, yep.
family.
The biases are being continued to be perpetuated. And it has to stop with the family. And again, on Bring Who You Are, I got to tell you, I had such a wonderful time when we talked about domestication, because again, the foundation of it starts in the family. So we've got to break it up in the family. No matter what type of family you come from, you've got to break it up in your family. And it does take a village to raise a children, but the village starts at home.
I have a village, and I'm very blessed for it. So thank you very much, Lotus, for
My
being
pleasure.
on the
Thank
show.
you.
As usual, you are just a phenomenal woman.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to all the watchers and listeners, and Please share the show even after it's done, to share this information. All those who love it, don't
Yes.
hold it to yourself. Spread the
Yes.
word and help others, empower others. That's what the mission is. Yes, we are doing the show, but those of you who are watching, who are being fed back, you can empower another family if you share the show.
Yes.
And of course, join in on Saturday on Lotus Riche on Facebook to watch Bring Who You Are with
Yes.
all these powerful women. I mean, I'm
Yes.
like humbled in this group.
Yes. And I want to share this too, if I may. Guys, we have such a powerful show coming up as well. If I may share, on Tuesday, we've got a show. It's not just for the men, but a special shout out to Sean Seagal. We're going to be talking about why it's important for speakers to make sure they're a part of speaking academies as well as
Mm,
Toastmasters. And Dr. Harper talked about it earlier. I'm a part of Toastmasters as well. She's a part of Toastmasters. And then we also have coming up, and let me stop sharing that. And then I want to share one other thing with you, if I may. On Wednesday, we are bringing to the stage, we are bringing another phenomenal man. He's going to be joining us. Let me see if I can bring that up. I may not be able to bring it up, but we're having another phenomenal man come, Charles Bell. He'll be with us, and he'll be talking about how to de-escalate violence
yeah,
and confrontations, and we're doing that for our law enforcement officers. Now, that one is going to be very explosive. It may make you cry, it may make you angry, but we want to help people to move into action. We want to help
yeah,
our law enforcement agencies, and we want to help our global communities, actually. So
definitely.
thank you for letting me
Yeah.
share.
And this is what is happening on Sunday.
Yes.
This, sorry, Saturday after our meeting, we
Yes.
will be empowering families to build sustainable nations. We have Dr. Rivers on. We have Datian Barrett from Jamaica, who I'm so excited about. We have Norma from the OECS, which is the Office of Eastern Caribbean States. Myself, Grace Ann is as well, and Dr. Kama, who's going to speak about peace. He's from Kenya, and Ambassador Dr. Raymond Halal from Guyana and the States and Canada. And we're all going to discuss how we will be literally helping families to achieve the sustainable goals. We're very excited about that. That starts at 3 o'clock on my Facebook page.
Dr.
And,
Harper, I heard someone had told me that they had heard that somebody was an ambassador.
yes. So I am an ambassador for the summit, representing Canada, not Jamaica. So, we have to have a Canadian contingency and the US come on, we have to bring it. We have to bring it. But there's so many opportunities that are going to be happening in the Caribbean because of this movement. Because one of the things they're saying is it's not just a 2-day thing. It's the beginning of a movement, and the Caribbean countries are coming together to empower everybody to be able to achieve the sustainable goals. So we're looking for a lot of input into the Caribbean from Canada, the US, and the UK. But also, I want it to be an exchange as well, because the Caribbean that's one of the reasons I have Miss Barrett from Jamaica. They're doing some really good work, doing sustainability in Jamaica. So we can learn from both. And listening is a big thing when it comes to community development. So I want to thank you again. I mean, it's just always a wonderful thing to have on. And, it starts from here. It's a family civility. Again, the book is about to be released. Actually,
Yes.
We're getting it printed. So very excited. Out of many families, one nation.
I can't wait to get my copy.
I'm sending a copy. Don't worry. So this is Out of Families, One Nation, how to achieve civility and stability in the homes of a nation. And we just have to, one step at a time, one show at a time, share and empower other families, because that is the purpose of life, to empower each other and give to each other. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I feel so honored. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And we'll see you on Monday. Sorry,
Saturday. Yes.
Saturday at 3 o'clock. And then, yeah, I have a busy Saturday. And then we see you back again on Monday, same time, 4 o'clock Eastern.
Yes.
Let's talk family civility. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you for sharing, liking, starting a watch party. I appreciate you. And let us be civil one another.
Yes.